In today's video, I'm going to try and remove these windy windows and replace them with some electric windows. If you've already seen the last video I put up on the VL where I reinstalled all the dash into the car, you'll know that I've got a complete Calais interior for this VL, including the door trims hanging up on the wall. The reason they still hang up on the wall is my car is not a factory power window vehicle, so it's only got the wind-up windows, and I couldn't bring myself to cut holes in good door trims to install them in my car. To install power windows into this car, I'm obviously going to need a full set of power window regulators, along with the factory style wiring loom. I've looked everywhere for a wiring loom for a long time and couldn't find anything cheaper than around $600 to $1,000 for a second-hand loom, which is for something that's 40 years old, I think is not realistic. So that's why when I saw HOLDCOM Car Parts have a brand new reproduction wiring loom for $450, I thought that'd be crazy not to grab one. They come with all the grommets to go through the doors and into the pillars of the car. So I thought today, why not have a crack at trying to install them? HOLDCOM say this is a direct copy of the factory loom. They've pulled apart a VL and copied it, including all the correct plugs, so that everything will be plug and play with the factory style power window regulators and central locking actuators. In the middle here, obviously, we've got the main plug that runs to the four-way switch in the center, runs up to the front of the car. Got these plugs here are for the child lockout switch in the dash. That branch there is for the driver's door, power window regulator and central locking. And then this piece of the loom runs down for the rear door, for the central locking and power window switch. And then the same on this left-hand side, that's the rear door. And we've got the front door switch and actuator, and the main plug that would go up and plug into the factory wiring loom if your car came with power options. If it didn't, HOLDCOMs give you this extra plug with a couple of feet of wiring so you can wire your own power to the loom. It's obviously a good idea to use the 25 amp circuit breaker that comes from factory, or at least an inline fuse and a relay to supply power to this loom. The first thing you need to do is remove the manual window regulators. This is achieved by removing the adjuster bolts and drilling out the rivets before manoeuvring the regulator out of the door skin. For the rear doors, you'll need to remove the 4 bolts that hold the glass to the cables before you can drill out the top rivets and remove the regulator. Next up, you'll need to drill 8 22mm holes for the wiring and grommets to pass through. Thankfully, the locations for these holes are marked from factory by these dimples. I used a 22mm metal hole saw on an impact driver, which made light work of the job. With the manual regulators removed and all 8 required holes drilled in the A and B pillars and doors, I vacuumed out the door cavities and moved on to installing the electric window regulators. The fronts are super simple to install, as they are basically the same design as the manual regs and mount the exact same way. The rears are slightly more complicated due to their cable and pulley design, but they're not as hard as people will have you believe. If you mount the body of the regulator first and use these diagrams, you should have each side sorted in about 10 to 15 minutes each. The important part to remember is to wind the cable at least 1.5 to 2 turns onto the drum before following the cable path. Now my regulators are in and tested as working, I can start to install my new loom. Unfortunately, my phone decided to eat the footage of me routing the main part of the loom through the car, but it's pretty basic. Basically, I started in the center here next to the main window switch and ran the center part of the loom up the side of the transmission tunnel and then up under the dash. Initially, I just laid it across the footwells to sort out the length and where everything had to go, including connecting it to the back of that button there, which is, I believe, is the rear window lockout. I then put the loom up underneath the dash and cable tied it up out of the way before passing it through the hole in the kick panel and out through the door. You can probably just see the wiring there, and into the front door. After getting the wiring into the front door, I then took out the plastic scuff plate off the sill, rolled the carpet back out of the way, removed that cover from where the seatbelt reel bolts into the pillar, and removed the plastic protector from behind there, and passed the wiring up through the pillar and out into the door. You can see there where the wire comes out of the B pillar and into the door, along with the grommets installed that HOLDCOM give to you. They're a perfect fit for the 22mm hole, and they've basically just got a split in one side, so you can pass all the cabling through into the doors first and then install the rubber grommets once you've got the cables connected and cable tied out of the way where you need them. In the back door, you can see, just for testing, I've routed the cable up and out of the way and connected into the back of the switch, just so I can test that it works. I'll grab a shot of each of the back door switches because you need to get the wires in the right spot. If you don't, the windows will go up and down either in the wrong order, or they'll do funny things. As soon as you connect them, they'll go down. It is important that you get them in the right positions. The front doors are much simpler in that they've just got a plug with 2 wires and it can only go in one way. You can't get it wrong. With all the wiring connections now complete, it's time to test out the windows and see that they all work. I've just jerry-rigged up a Makita 18-volt battery with an inline 25-amp fuse. Obviously, I need to connect that wiring that you can see there out through into the engine bay into a relay and circuit breaker. But for now, let's have a crack and see how we went. Okay, so we'll start with the front window switch. We'll do the passenger side, see how it goes. Okay, goes down quite well. Up works very good, pretty good for a 40-year-old motor. And now on to the driver's side. Okay, again, pretty happy with that for a 40-year-old power window regulator. Let's try the back windows. Off the main switch, goes down quite well. And a little slow going up. Passenger rear. A little slow going down, and my 4-way switch is not in very good condition, so that won't go up off this button, but we'll try the rear button. Okay, here we go. A bit slow, but still functioning, and obviously the up and down functions both work on the rear button for the passenger side. And now the driver's side off the rear button. That goes down really well. And goes up well too, better than the passenger side. So all in all, great success. Okay, so that's it. I've now got power windows in the VL. I'm stoked with that. I've wanted to do that for a long time so I could get the Calais door trims into the car. The products from HOLDCOM were really good. The wiring loom was spot on for the lengths and the plugs. Everything worked perfect. Be sure to only drill the 22mm holes for the grommets. It is tricky to get the cables through the holes, but you don't want to drill the holes too big because then your grommets aren't going to work. In hindsight, I probably should have drilled all those holes in the pillars and the doors prior to the car being assembled while the doors were still off, and preferably before paint as well. It was a little bit daunting drilling into the car with nice paint on it, but if you take your time and go easy, you should be fine. It is achievable. So if you follow the steps in this video, you should be able to install power windows into your own first-gen Commodore. It's not just VL, it should be VB, C, H, K and L. They all share the same doors, glass and regulators. If I've left anything out or missed something from the footage that got lost in the middle of the Loom install, be sure to reach out, ask me a question, hit me up with a comment, I'll get straight back to you. That's the whole point of me doing these videos, try and help you guys have a crack at doing some of these jobs yourself. So I hope you got something from this video, give you the encouragement or the confidence to have a go yourself. And if you liked the video, can you please make sure to like and subscribe. I'm almost up to 1,000 subscribers, which I think is pretty awesome for just a regular dude having a crack in his shed at home. So as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.